Hello folks, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be learning how to do this. Yes folks, we're going to be learning how to do a comic book effect. This is really cool. If you want to have, if you have any animated graphics and you want it to look like this, it's pretty simple. So let's get to it. First, I will show you how to create the text, like this one. I'm gonna show you how to break it down. First, I did this. I grab a text node and I use the Shakapow. And these are the settings. 320 in size, and my stage is actually 1920 by 1080 in pixels, and my font size is 320. And then I added a constant, a white constant, and a copy premold. I use the text is alpha channel. If you go up on the upper left right there, I use the text alpha channel to copy premold the constant. So if you view it here without everything, it looks like that. And then I created this layer. It's the inner layer, which is very simple. I grab a postage stamp or a shuffle node. To demonstrate it, I go shuffle node, you connect it here, and to make it like a postage stamp, you double click it, go to node tab, and hide input and postage stamp, so it becomes like that. And from there, I grab an erode, switch it to RGBA, -3 in size, and I grab another filter erode, which is still RGBA and 9 in size. And then, oh, you know what? I think I didn't use this one, so I just used this right there. I eroded it inside, and I gave it a little blur of 3, and I grab a red constant, RGBA, use this one to copy premold this one. So then I merge it together and it looks like that. And then the next layer is like a stroke effect on the external edges of the text. Same thing. I postage stamp this guy right here, the text. You see that arrow right there? And I filter erode it -3, and I added another filter erode, which is the opposite number 3, and I stencil it out to grab the edges. So this guy is stenciling this guy, boom, right there. And then I use it as an alpha to grab a black constant. You won't see it here, but if you view it here, you'll see the black edges. And then from there, I made like a drop shadow. Well, there's a drop shadow node in Nuke, but somehow it's a little buggy. Glitch once in a while, so I don't really want to use it, so I rather make my own shadow effect. So what I did was I just used this text from a postage stamp on the original text, and I use it as an alpha, and I copy premold it with a black constant. So if I take out this transform, if I disable it, this is what it does. So it's basically a black comic book effect letter, and I just transform it -14 on X and -14 on the Y. And then I added a simple glow. I didn't put the glow on the whole merge layers, I made it separately. From this one, I added a glow, make it like a little yellow orange, brightness of 10, size of 31, and I merge it as a B from this layer right here. So that's how it looks like. So we're starting to get the feel. It looks cool already, but there's a couple more things to do to get that nice comic look. So we'll jump into the background. This is what I downloaded in Google, like a random New York City background. And to get that effect of a comic book is you add a median node. Now be careful of using this node because this is very heavy. It takes a lot of memory power. So I gave it a value of 5. So if you view it, it looks like that. It somehow cleans it up and takes out the details. And then I added a sharpen node, gave it an amount of 10 and a size of 10, and that's how it looks like. And I gave it a color correct, a little bit of contrast. You could do any color correct adjustments you like. You could adjust the gain or whatever you want. And then I added a grade, just emphasize the black points and a little bit on the white points. And yeah, it kind of looks like a little bit of comic, but we're still not done. The next thing we're gonna do is the comic effect. This is very important because this is what binds and gives the overall look on the comic effect look. So what I did was I grab a checkerboard. And then I put the size of I think that was 5, size of 5, and then I gave it a little blur of 2. So if you disable the blur, it kind of looks like that. Just make it a little look softer. And then I added a roto just to separate this one, because I did this one because I don't like the look where there's like a really harsh yellow line in the middle. So I eliminated it and then I transform it to 2.1. And you might be wondering, well, if you scale it up, will it look pixelized? It doesn't really, because if you go here, you can actually change the size. You could go up, you could go bigger pixels, or you could go super small pixels. So you could do that, which is really cool. And then I gave it a crop just to clean up the the side. And then when I merge it, I use a multiply node from this guy. Well, let's start with the background first. From this guy, I simply copy this setup over here, but gave it a little like a different value in it, and I merge it as an overlay. So see that one right there? Let me create a line right there. So if I A/B it, that's how it looks like. We're almost there. So I use it as a merge overlay. And then I overlaid it more with a dark constant or grayish constant. I use the constant to overlay this background just to give it like a darker feeling. And I also gave the comic book text the comic effect, which I was explaining a while ago, but I added a multiply node just to bump up the values, because if you disable it, see, it's a little toned down. So if you turn it on, a value of 3 actually, right there. And there was one issue that I was looking at this one and I was like, well, on the brightest area of the background I don't see any comic effect. So I was thinking, like, how can I put comic effect? Because if you look at this one, there's actually information here, but when you merge it as an overlay, it's gone because of the math in Nuke that takes it out when it's in its greater value. I'm not sure if I said it right, but correct me if I'm wrong, but that's how I understood it. So what I did was I postage stamped this guy information right here and I shuffle it to blue channel. The reason why I shuffle it to blue channel is when you go to R, G, B, the blue channel has more dark information and I want to use it as an the blue channel has more bright information that is really clear, so I want to use that bright information as an alpha. So if you go back to switch it to RGB, shuffle it to blue channel, and I gave it a grade. The grade is channels RGBA, black point 0.6, white point 0.7, and don't forget to click white clamp and black clamp. So from if you compare the two, see right there, and when you switch and you press A, that's a really good alpha right there. And then I grab this information and I use this alpha to mask this information by this, and then I merge it over on top of this guy. So now you have the comic effect on the brightest value of the image right there. This one I'll show it to you later, but you know what, maybe let's talk about it now. It's a talk bubble. The talk bubble was done in Photoshop. You could always do it in Nuke with a roto. Like if you want to grab a roto right here, you could always grab a rectangle, switch it to RGBA, and you know, you could have like that, and then you could create like something like that. Very, very simple. You could do whatever shapes you want. And I color corrected as a blue. I prefer blue because it kind of shows the glow on the text. And I scale it down, gave it the comic effect look, and then I merge it right there. So it's slowly coming along, and I added this guy again. Oh man, why does he keep showing up? I don't understand. Anyway, this is what I did. I grabbed a picture of this guy, I roto it, and then I made an edge from this postage stamp, from this information. I made an edge over here. I showed it to you a while ago when we're creating the text effect like that. It's the same technique that I use here to detect the edge, and I use that as an alpha on a gray constant, and I merge it on top so it has that cool comic edge. I just use gray and just to be different, and I gave it a little bit of transform, scale it down, and then I added a median, just what I did, the same thing I did on the background, sharpen it up to whatever amount you want, depends on how much you want it to look like. Give it a color correct, contrast of 1.5, then I grade the black points and the white points to give it like a darker shadows and stuff, and I give it a comic book effect. This one is the same setup as this one. And you might want to be asking, you might want to ask, well, why don't you just postage stamp? Why don't you just create a postage stamp and connect it here, and then connect it here? Well, you can, but I was changing some values in here that I don't want this layer to affect, so I copied it and pasted here, and I made few adjustments. So that's why I have separate color, comic effects. If you merge all together, that's how it looks like. And I added few adjustment layers to give it like a super retro look. So what I did was I added a ramp. This one is for the dark values. So if you disable it, it's very subtle right there. You might not see it in the screen, but there's a darker value on the screen left, on the bottom screen left. And then I added another ramp, and this one is for like an overall ambient effect light. And then this guy right here is warm light. So from here I give it a little bit of warm light, give it like these values right here for the color, and then I blur the footage to 96, and I merge plus it on the original. See right there, to give it that heavenly look, like that soap opera look. That's what they call it, the soap opera look. And then these god rays right here, this three right here, is what they call chromatic aberration. What it does is this guy right there. The first god ray, if you double click it, I only turn on the green channel, turn off the red and the blue, and I gave it a scale of 1.013. and you might want to play around with the other values, but I'm sticking to it like that right there. It's taking out the green value. And the other god rays, the next god rays, is I turn off the green and I turn on the red and the blue. Same thing right here, and it gave me that look. Give it a little blur, and then I added a vignette, classic vignette right there. So that's how it looks like, and I added another crop just to clean out the edges. And then this is the finished animation. Give it a little animation, stretch, squish and squash, a little movement. So that's the super retro look, and this is the classic sharp look. I just made it up, but I don't know what the name is. So that's it, the comic book effect, all done in Nuke. And thank you very much for watching my video. Hope you like, make a comment, and subscribe, and hit that button, subscribe, and share it if you like, and hopefully you learn a thing or two. Thank you very much, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye bye.